Hey, here is the way that I do ball and socket joints in 3D. I start with a sphere. I make sure that the sphere has enough resolution so it would be smooth, but I want it to also be somewhat efficient. Now the key element is, when it comes to the ball and socket joint, they have to be identical form of geometry. They have to be very similar, so one slides smoothly inside the one that encapsulates it. So the trick in this case is to use the same geometry for both the joint and the cap. And the way I do it is by doing the following. In Maya, if you select a set of faces, if you hold shift and period, it's gonna grow the selection. There needs to be some pinch for the sphere to click inside the cap, so it doesn't fall or drop easily. So to be safe, it's better to have more, and soon this will make sense. This little bit of an addition here, you see this is where the middle line, right? This little extra here is gonna do that clicking pinch. So even if you were to 3D print this, it would function safely that way. Now, after I select those faces, shift right mouse button, and then I'm gonna do duplicate face. And now I'm going to extrude it just a teeny tiny bit. And I'll give myself some extra buffer there. And then go to object mode. Now this is my object. I go into the faces, double click, Control E, and then extrude. And with that said, this would be an easy way to at least start the ball and socket. And to illustrate how this joint would work, so in the human body we have the pelvis and the shoulder having this ball and socket structure. So now if I were to rotate it, there it is. Now let's go and talk about that lip that I created, that little pinch. And especially if you want to make it as precise as even as good for 3D printing. Notice how when I pull that sphere out, there's no friction, which means it's slightly, that extra buffer that I added, it made it slightly bigger. So now let's try again. See that little friction there? That could be enough of a pinch. You can make it tighter, but of course, if you're 3D printing this, it may depend on the material you're printing. But if you print it with semi-resistant material, a material with a teeny tiny bit of flexibility, then even if this was even tighter than that, you can actually force click the joint, and that actually gives it the security. But aesthetically, you want to add a little bit of a buffer there to allow some ambient occlusion to show, meaning like that. So when you render ambient occlusion, it actually looks more aesthetically pleasing to have some larger gap than needed, just to allow some occlusion there. So with that said, you deserve a bonus for watching this length. I'm going to show you how you can actually rig this thing. It's not really that complex, but it can be complex if you want to. I'm gonna show you the simplest way of rigging something like that. Gonna create a circle. Gonna select everything before I do the rigging. Alt-Shift-D to clear the history. Now, I don't want to do parenting, I want to do parent constraint, which works in the following way. You select the father first, then the child. If you're doing regular parenting, you would select the child first, then the father. But with parent constraint, it's the opposite. What is parent constraint? It's right here. You have these options. In other videos, I talked in details about some of those features. Everyone has certain use, and if you know exactly when to use what type of constraint, that is the key when it comes to doing efficient and effective and also easy to use rigging. So aim. So you click on aim and immediately you see those blue marks telling you that there is a parent constraint activated on the selected geometry, which is this. So now I select that controller. There you go. And we can see it better with the wireframe. That is your ball and socket.